Good evening, everyone. Good to have you all here. And this, of course, is preseason call number 3 of the 90-day game. And I want to thank those of you who have been able to join us from preseason 1, 2, and 3, this being the third. And just know that if you have only been here on one call or another call, the good news is they're all available at YouTube. So you can get caught up. But I think you'll find here in preseason call number 3, as Brooke walks you through most of the content of this call, that you'll feel quickly caught up to speed, whether you've been here before or not. So we'd like to welcome you. And because we have quite a bit to cover, we're going to go ahead and get started.
Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to preseason call 3. Thank you all for the great work that you did last week, working on your mind dumping, working on the rest of your game design, and all of the additional work that you put into motion. We greatly appreciate that. On tonight's call, what we're going to do is we're going to review that work with you, and especially we're going to take a look at making sure that you understand the concepts, especially around your points, because I know there were some questions about that. So we want to be sure that you have that clear and that we are all starting with the same information. So once again, welcome. So last week, you had completed your game. You completed your personalized game scorecard. You began to do a mind dump as well as your preseason mind dump, and then you also began a game mind dump. So well done on all of that. I'm going to show you, for example, what coalesced over the last week for me.
Was that the word that I used before?
That was the word
coalesced.
that you used.
I thought that was a good cover.
Because of time, I would love to go into this for you all, but here is proof that I got it done. It will probably grow, but I wanted to share my vision board with all of you.
I have to make one comment, and the lovely lady underneath the TEDx sign is Grace Kelley.
Our daughter, Grace Kelley, with her hand on her hip. I think they might have figured that out.
Well, anyway,
but
she's 12 years old, and if she was here right now, she's my height. So, by the way, I'm sitting on a book right now, just to try and even it up a little bit.
I thought we were going to keep that to ourselves,
well,
but that's all right.
Anyway, it's
okay,
fine.
So here we go.
I'm not that sensitive.
This is my actual game assessment, so you can see that I went through and gave myself a score in each of these areas, as all of you did. This is the overview of the outcomes that I will achieve over the next 90 days. And you'll see that in a moment, when you look at my daily and weekly points, that they will correlate with these outcomes.
So for those people who may have skipped preseason 1 or preseason 2 and now here, as you saw, there's a field of dreams. Think of it like a vision board, a goal board, a wish board, right? It's how you're visualizing and energizing yourself. And there's some other elements you can always catch up again, just go on YouTube. Then we actually go from there to, okay, so it's great to get energized, but what are the areas of life that I want to work on? What are the areas, I can't do them all. What are the 3 to 5 that will make the biggest difference for me? You can see what Brooke chose. And so it's great to have the areas, but how do you know that you got there? Like, is there a finish line? And remember, games and emergencies have black and white lose-win conditions. So we created these very specific outcomes. And then all of a sudden we get to, okay, great. Now, how are you going to do that?
Yeah. So, for example, you'll see that in the area of body and health over the next 90 days, I will lose 50 pounds. I will do P90X.
Did you say 50? You meant 15.
15, I'm sorry. I'm not against it, but I think 15 is good. And then I will complete P90X, meaning I will complete their whole program. And I will follow the All In by Teddy Mellencamp exercise and accountability protocols. So you're going to begin to see how those get translated into daily and weekly points. In my spiritual life, I will spend 15 hours a week devoted to spiritual growth. With family, I will create 14 memorable family dates over 90 days, plan a family vacation as a game prize, and then plan and win in our family game, because we're also playing in a family game. So that's one of my personal game outcomes, is that we win in our family game. At work, I will launch my own brand with my own team. I will research a TED Talk, meaning how to actually present a TED Talk. How will I apply? How do I get on stage, etc. So I will be eligible to speak at a TED convention when they resume, and I'll have that handled. I will complete filming our television show that we are so excited about, that we'll film in the next 90 days with Lawrence Fishburne. And I will expand my own private practice inside of our organization. Charities, I will donate a total of $65,000 to charities in the next 90 days. And one of the major ways that I will do that is hosting a telethon for an organization that's near and dear to my heart, especially during this time, which is Blessings in a Backpack, making sure that kids all over the world are being fed during this period of time. And the telethon will be in exchange for training anybody who participates in advanced phone skills. We're hoping that kids, adults, as many people as possible will get involved. So now that you see those outcomes, I want you to see how they translate into daily points. So at the top of this sheet, you'll see the same outcomes. It says your personalized game scorecard. You guys did this. I've taken all that I just read to you, and it is listed here again in terms of outcomes. Then where you see my daily points. So if I'm going to lose 15 pounds, one of my daily points is to do a 30-minute session of P90X. Another daily point is, in addition to that, 30 minutes of cardio. Another daily point will be to follow the all-in diet and protocols. So those 3 actions are only worth 1 point each. And I only get the point. For example, if I do 25 minutes of P90X, I don't get that point. I still get the benefit of 25 minutes. I just don't get the point. In my spiritual life, in order to do 15 hours a week, I've got to do 2.5 hours a day. So that's a daily point. In the family daily points, I'm going to achieve all of the family points that we've designed in our family game. That's a daily point for me in my personal game. In work, I will spend 1 hour a day forwarding the most important brand actions per my own brand timeline. I will also acknowledge Sarano daily for being a beast. Exactly, look at those guns. And I will engage in 1 activity with Grace that makes her day daily. So those are my daily points. I did notice, for those of you that were brave enough and organized enough, that some of you were giving yourself 10 points for certain actions. And we've seen that before, right? Where you maybe have decided that the difficulty level of something is higher than other things, and you think, I'll give myself more points. I'm with you. Definitely. There are certain points here that are harder for me than others, but they're all worth 1 point. Because the goal is not to track points, right? I mean, we are using these points as a barometer for us, but the goal is to simplify the points so that your attention is not on tracking points, but your attention is on execution. The point totals just give you a sense of winning or loss, which is also as helpful. It's not as fun, but it's as helpful as an indicator of what do I need to get done. So I just want to clarify that each action is worth 1 point. If you're going to do it 5 days a week, it's a daily. If you're going to do it less than 5 days a week, it's a weekly. An example of my weekly points, I'll have 1 weekly meeting with my brand team. I'll have 1 weekly meeting with the telethon team. And I'll have 1 weekly meeting with my family to review everyone's points and celebrate wins. Those are weekly points. Now, there are other things I'm going to be doing in my life that I am not putting here as points because they're on autopilot and they're not things that I need to stretch for or hold myself accountable for. And so they're not here. Anything that you have handled meaning you don't even think about it and it happens at the consistency and the intensity and you're producing the results that you want, that would be handled. You don't need it as a daily or weekly point. If it's not, there might even be things that you consider to be easy, as in you think it should be easy, but you're not getting it done and you need to hit your goals, then you would want to make that a daily or a weekly point. So I just want to be sure that everybody's aware of that. And we are going to look to see how we can do some Q&A with you this evening, even if it's opening up the chat, so that if you have questions about daily and weekly points, that you're able to share them with us.
Let me use this as a chance to just revisit something from the first conversation. We spoke about how individuals may have goals or desires, right? Like, on one hand, you want to get in shape. The other hand, you like pepperoni pizza. I use that example because I love pepperoni pizza, right? And so I obviously don't need to put on my point system. Remember to eat a pepperoni pizza, right? But there's this other aspect of myself that's committed to being in shape. Now we've added to that desire a field of dreams, specific measurable goals, daily and weekly points, and then we add to that accountability. And what happens is, rather than fighting with pepperoni pizza, all of a sudden the balance of power is all here and my attention is all here. So pepperoni pizza just kind of disappears. I don't need to fight with it. I don't need to struggle with it. I need to get my energy channeled into exactly what I want, but not like, and I love listening to things that are motivational, that are like channel your energy and focus, right? But what they leave out is how. This would be the how.
This is the structure. So ideally, you have gotten to that level of completion with your own game. You have a vision board, you have a theme, you have a song, you've dedicated it, right? You've done all of that, and you've decided what are my outcomes and what are the daily and weekly points that are going to get me from where I am to those outcomes, with new habits and rituals and routines that you take with you well after this game. You get the benefit of the outcome at the end of 90 days. But beyond the 90 days, you will take these rituals and routines with you. And for many of you, that will be more valuable than the outcomes. That being said, assuming that we're all there, and if you're not, you have between now and next Sunday night to get there. And so don't lose energy over I should have it done, I didn't have it done, all of that, right? It's futile. Just get it done between now and next Sunday. What we're going to focus on this evening are these 7 different objectives. So we're going to teach you time blocking this evening. We're going to teach you how to invite your fans and who should your fans be. We're going to ensure that you send your game scorecard. This is your game scorecard. It looks more like this. This looks jazzy because it has the background, but this was sent to you and many of you filled this out. Basically, it's the 3 to 5 areas of your life and your daily and weekly points. You can put it on lined paper. Nobody cares, but that's your scorecard, and that's what you're going to send to your accountability partner. We're going to go into that in just a moment. We're going to get you ready for game call 1, which is next week, and we're going to also make sure that you are sure about how to get your fans ready to attend next week's call. So we'll start this evening with time blocking. When we take a look at time blocking, you're going to see a lot of print here. But at the end of the day, when you think about your day, there are certain activities that make a bigger difference than others. So for example, a bedtime for many dictates the quality of their next morning. We beat ourselves up over, I don't get up early enough, I'm not doing this enough, I'm not doing that enough. And so we think it starts with the waking up. But for many of us, the domino was actually your bedtime. So if you begin to use that analogy and think about what is it that I'm trying to achieve? If I'm trying to achieve weight loss, that's an outcome. That's a lagging indicator. What's the domino? For me, it's going to be, is that workout scheduled? Is that P90X ready to roll? Have I done the food prepping for the all-in? Those are the things that when I look at my game, I need to be sure that they're time blocked into my schedule. So what I want to say is a lot of people, when they hear time block, they think block every minute of every hour of every day. And that's a setup for craziness, because inevitably things are going to happen to throw that off. I want you to think of the key actions. So for many of us, our bedtime is a key action, and it dictates the quality of our next morning. So one thing to time block could be bedtime. Now, if we take a look at the next day, for some of you, you need to be time blocking a workout or prayer or meditation. We need to plug in the computer. It's about to die. Hold on just a second. Keep going.
So one of the things that Brooke just highlighted this is saying that if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. And people fall into this trap thinking that time blocking means they'll have control over their whole day or they can manage time. The reality is 20% of what you do generates 80% of your results, and that 20% is causative. So, for example, in most cases in the world of business, if you schedule a meeting, you're going to go to a meeting. So, a meeting is great and it might require some time blocking, but what's much more, for lack of a better way of putting it, dicey is whether or not you'll spend 30 minutes a day scheduling meetings, whatever business you're in. So, I want you to notice that often the things that we tend to drop out under pressure, working out, date nights, prayer and meditation, whatever your particular spiritual religious practices are, opening new accounts, getting new business. These are the things that we often go, well, I'll do it later when I have time. You want to notice it doesn't happen. That in fact, those are the very things that want your time blocked to do first in one's day. So even as the day begins to get reactive and outside of your control, it doesn't matter because you got the most important things done early on in your day.
So in some cases, what you need to get done, so let's say you're a student and you're in school. In many cases, your day, even if you're being homeschooled right now, your day is semi-time blocked. So you might think, I'm good. What I'd encourage you to think about is the hours before and after school. What are the kinds of things relative to the goals you created for your game that you could begin to block time for? So let's say you're a gymnast and you want to get your core stronger before you go back and start competing. Could you be time blocking something for a core workout that you know you need to get done in the evenings at a certain time before you move into family dinner and other things, right? So you're thinking about blocks of time related to the goals that you have and the activities that need to take place during those blocks of time. The standard way that we look at that is everybody should have a sweet spot, whether you're someone who runs your household or you're in business or you're a student. There's a 30-minute block of time every day that you're going to forward that which would be most profitable, represents the most liability, or most meaningful to you. So you decide, am I going after what's most profitable to avoid what has the or what has the most liability, or what's most meaningful? But your sweet spot is 30 minutes, ideally as close to the beginning of every single day where you're working on that which is going to forward profit, avoid liability, or address what would be most meaningful for you. And you're going to block that into the first 30 minutes of your day. The next thing we want you to take a look at would be the kinds of meetings that you need to be having. If you're in business, this might be with your team virtually. This might be with clients. If you are someone who runs a household, you might need to meet with the family to get everybody coordinated. If you're a student, maybe you need to meet with your teacher now to review assignments, or you need to meet with your coach to make sure you're back in shape by the time you guys get back into season. So there are meetings that may need to happen daily or weekly. And these are the kinds of meetings that make the biggest impact, not the little meetings. We're looking for those sort of dominoes that create the biggest impact. Maybe you need to meet with God. So that's a Sunday watching your pastor, right? Maybe you need to meet with your wife about, family finances, because that's an area of conflict. So is there a meeting assigned to that every week? So these are meetings that are going to give you a big return. And you want to think about how often should they happen and what would be the optimal window of time for them to take place in. There are also times that you want to set meetings with yourself to mind dump and time block, so that you are, for example, last week we talked about the end of the day every day before the family restores the house to being a home, right? Because during the day now we're working from it and going to school and doing all of this. Right. Maybe everybody mind dumps. You take 15 minutes as a family and everybody's at their computer or at a legal pad or on their phone in the notes section, and they're mind dumping everything that they know represents either homework, prospecting, family rituals that need to get planned, whatever came to mind during the day that you know you've got on a sticky pad or you told yourself to remember, you're going to put it down. You're going to take a look at it. And now what you're going to do is you're going to marry this with your time block. So if you're in business and you mind dumped prospects that you need to get in front of, you got some referrals today and you have those people down, you're going to schedule yourself tomorrow in your sweet spot time block to reach out to those people. If you're a student and you know that there's a big project coming up and that in order to be on task with it, you know, you need to order some things off of Amazon, you've got to research this, that means you need a book to be delivered, whatever, right? You're going to mind dump all of that. And then you're going to look at tomorrow and time block, when am I going to get that done? And you might have to move some things into your mom's time block, right? So that Amazon delivers it. But the idea is we're not just clearing our mind by mind dumping. And we're not just deciding, oh, it would be great if I worked out at this time, and it would be great if I prospected at this time, and it would be great if we sat down for dinner at this time. That would be just time blocking. We're now going to take all of those things that you mind dumped out of your mind and decide what's the ideal optimal block of time that action should fit into. And that is going to become the basis of how you combine mind dumping and time blocking. But you need to be time blocked to even mind dump and then move those items into your time block. There's a video that we're going to send you with the series of emails that you get during the week explaining this further. But this is the basic concept of a time block. The key is a lot of people are naturally mind dumpers. They've got to-do lists. They love writing all that stuff down. And a lot of people are time blockers. They know exactly what would be the great time to do everything in their life. Right. They just don't do it at that time. It's the marrying of these two that will have you begin to see the difference in your quality of life, your mind and peace, and your effectiveness. In some cases, some of you need to be meeting with yourself at the end of the day to delegate items to others, people on your team at work, to your mom. Moms are going to kill me, right? To your husband. See, I got one in for you guys. But the idea is it's not always about what you're going to do. In some cases, it's what you're going to delegate to others as well.
So I will say that I would not recommend that any of us take on someone else's time block as how we should lead our lives. And we live on the West Coast, but my schedule is timed to the East Coast. So just to give you an example, this is something I struggled with for a long time, which is recognizing that the beginning of the day is much more proactive than the end of the day, the same way the beginning of a year, people try to be more proactive, and by the end of the year, they're being more reactive. So with that as a principle, my ideal time block looks like this. It begins with I went to bed on time. Now, it should be 8:45, but the reality is that I haven't quite gotten there yet. So let's just say 9:45, okay? 3:45 wake up, which means I have 30 minutes to kind of, get my coffee, get out of my fog. That allows me to do cardio from 4:15 to 5 o'clock, which gives me 30 minutes to have a chance to, not at a breakneck speed, shower, dress, breakfast. I like timing my time to New York time because at 5:30 California time, there are very few things that are running counter to what I'm doing. There are very few distractions. There's very little fragmentation. It's literally not just the fact that I'm starting early in the day, it's that it's early in the day when I have the most control and the least environmental factors. By the time I get to 8:30, I've already gotten 3 hours of my day in, and that 20% is going to determine the bulk of my results compared to the same 3 hours later in the day. In any event, do it in a way that works for you, but we have learned the hard way that probably one of the single most important things to master, and for some of you this is not a problem, is an early bedtime.
So fans, this is one of the most, this is the thing more than anything, once you've established your game, that will decide the quality that you play at when you're not feeling like playing. It will give you a sense of a finish line that you have to achieve. It is a really, really big difference in a person's game. So As I'm speaking, I'd like you to think about and make a list of the people in your life that you would least want to let down. The people who you either love or respect so much that you would never fail at your goals if they knew about them, because you would never fail those people. When I used to swim, my dad, who was incredibly supportive and was my biggest fan, would drive me all over Southern California, would drive me to every practice. And when I would race and I would touch the wall, I would look at his face before I even asked the timers who would time your race what my split was. I could tell by his face what my time was, because we were both that in sync, and he knew my goals and was that invested. He was my biggest fan. He was the only person I needed behind the blocks at that time in my life. I didn't need 100. I needed him. He represented so much magnitude and so much importance for me. I say that because for some of you who are very social, you've got hundreds of friends and family members, and you want to bring them all. And I want you to do that as well.
Do that.
For those of you who are maybe a little bit more introverted and maybe a little bit more private, you still accomplish the same outcome by bringing that 1, 2, or 3 right people or person, because it's not about how many or how few. It's about the degree to which you love them and respect them. And that's going to represent the positive pressure that you will feel next Sunday when you launch your game. So as I was speaking, I hope that you were writing down some names of people that you would consider to be your biggest fans. A very important note: haters are sometimes family members. They're sometimes people we love. They're sometimes people we don't love. I say this because a fan is never anybody that you question, do they have my back?
Right.
Do they want to see me win? So I want to encourage you to think about people who you know 100% want to see you win. Those are the people that this week you are going to invite to next Sunday evening's call, where you're going to share your game goals in front of all of the other families and individuals that are playing here, as well as the friends and family members of those individuals that will be their fans and there to witness it. On this slide, you see an example of an email that you will send to invite your fans to this call. We're going to give you a number of different samples, but most of you, for these people, you could send a simple text, you could call them, you can invite them. The good news for all of you is they're all home. So you can say, what else are you doing, right? But in any event, we're going to try to organize the call and when you will share based on time zone, so that people who are on the East Coast, we can be considerate that we'll assume most of your fans are East Coast. We're going to handle all those logistics. But the bottom line is, what you want to think about is, who are those people? And number 2, you're going to want to invite them between today and next Sunday evening. And we're going to be giving you information throughout the week on exactly what time you will speak. But you can still secure them being there at this time. We're going to be providing you with the date on exactly what time you're going to speak, because we need you all to take some action this week and confirm if you're going to be sharing your game next Sunday, and if you're going to share your personal game, and then who's going to share your family game. There's going to be a registration link sent out to you where you can answer those questions, and then we're going to be telling you what time exactly-ish you will be sharing, because there could be hundreds of people, and as much as we know you all want to see everybody win, you might not want to sit through the 3 hours that we will sit through to lead the call, so that everybody gets the strong start that you all deserve. We are committed to making sure everybody is heard. But it does require your participation. We're going to get to that in just a moment. Most importantly, think about who are the people in your life that you would least want to let down. You're going to invite those people to next week's call, And in front of them, you're going to share what you will achieve over the next 90 days. In just a minute, we're going to give you that script here in this call, and it will also be sent to you.
So this might feel like a commitment ceremony because it is. And while it is the part that makes many of us nervous, let me explain why it makes us nervous and why this kind of commitment ceremony is so important. So let's say a person's laying on their couch, they're a couch potato, they're eating potato chips and drinking beer, but they're thinking, I really should get in shape. Now, we typically look down on that person and think, well, they're a hypocrite, they're a couch potato. But actually, on the scale, they're not at the lowest level. What's lower is someone who's sitting there watching sports, eating potato chips, drinking beer. They're not even in conflict. They're not even thinking they should lose weight, and a doctor would tell them otherwise. So literally, the person who's in conflict is already making some progress. But the reality is, on a scale of 1 to 10, that workout, that exercise, it's not very real for them. Now, let's say the house is all of a sudden on fire. You know, this same person who would not get off the couch to go to the gym, you know, grabs their elderly grandmother and like carries her out of a burning building, right? And all of a sudden, what we see is it goes from like a 1 to a 10 because the emergency is real. But we don't want to wait for an emergency. What's another way to give things reality? Well, we create a field of dreams. We come up with a name. We attach a song. So maybe it goes from like a desire to like a 2 or 3, and you feel like, well, I can get excited about this. Then you write, you know, specific measurable goals and a game plan, right? Now you're at about a 5 or 6. You share it with a daily partner. You're now at about a 7, but you still feel like there's some wiggle room here, right? All of a sudden you get on a call, as literally millions of people have over the course of the last 3 decades. And you literally share what Brooke's going to walk you through, which is literally a script for how you will share your game on a fans call. And literally, you go to a 10. So to miss this is to miss out on the biggest factor. It is the secret sauce, which is to have your goals feel fully real for you. And for some reason, they're never as real as when we share them with people that we would least want to let down.
So here's a script, and we are going to be sending you one that is, for those of you that are financial advisors, this is the script that you will use. For those of you that are not, there'll be a couple of tweaks, but it's going to be very similar. Clearly, you're not going to share your firm unless you're with a different firm. For the students that are here, you will share your school or your team, whichever of the two, you know, you'd like to share. You're definitely affiliated with a very important group to you, and we want to know that about you. And so you'll say hello.
And by the way, in this case, I guess your team could be your family.
Yeah, you could be.
You could be, you know, hello, my name is Sarano. I'm with the Kelley team.
Just like that.
Just like
Make
that.
Make sure you get your biceps in. So you'll say,
it wasn't about the biceps.
Hello, my name is Brooke Kelley. I'm with the Kelley Group in Los Angeles, California. I want to begin by thanking my fans for being here, specifically my husband, Sarano, my daughter, Grace, my stepdaughter, Georgia, my mom, my mother-in-law, so on and so forth. You guys get the idea. The theme of my game is Renaissance. I'm dedicating my game to all of the children across the world that are currently suffering in light of this virus. And I'm dedicating it to them because I believe that this could be the beginning of a period of great enlightenment for them. And that is my wish for them. And we want to be sure to comfort them and bring them strength. And I want to dedicate all of my efforts to those individuals. It'll sound better next week, but that's the idea. My theme song is Nessun Dorma by Aretha Franklin. I chose this song because of the emotionality that she expresses in the song, and it really captures how I feel about this time in all of our lives. The following goals will outline what I will accomplish in the next 90 days. And then I'm going to go through each area. The first area of my game is body and health. And in the next 90 days, I will lose 15 pounds, do P90X every single day, and follow All In by Teddy Mellencamp. And I'm going to go through each area and then go through the specific measurable outcomes that I will achieve. That's all that you guys will do. And since you've designed your game, now all you have to do is take that design and put it into those lines that are open and waiting for your brilliance to fill them in. That is what you will share in front of your fans, and you will thank them for being there at the end. We are going to give them a warm welcome at the beginning. We're also going to be creating a video for them so that when you send them the invitation, they know what this is all about. We're going to give them that context. Since there could be hundreds of you, which is how many are participating, we won't be able to do the beginning of the call, 15 different times throughout. So we're going to do that by video so that when you send them that video with your invitation, they'll have a sense of what is this thing that you're doing, right, and who are these people and why are you doing it. There will be zero marketing. This isn't about anything other than making a difference for all of you. You should know that after you all share your game, that we're going to invite your fans back to the 90th day of your game, the finish line. And that is the moment where, for most of you, if you've invited the right people and you've written a game that truly is meaningful to you, this will get very real for you, that the game has just begun and that you will deliver on what you are fully capable of, what we know is important to you, that you are intending to deliver. It will happen, and you will have the force of all of these people. Typically, after a fans call, at the end, we will have your fans cheer for you. And once again, we're going to let you know when this call starts and when it ends and exactly what time you will be speaking. At the end of this call, we will do the traditional cheer. For those of you that might have gone earlier, like an hour or two before, depending on how many of you RSVP, you can come to the end, or we are going to invite you to, after you share, join your fans on another phone line or via Skype or Zoom, etc., and allow them to cheer for you, allow them to share with you what they thought of your game, and to provide you with the goodwill and the good energy that those who go at the end will receive. We will be giving them all of those instructions in the video that we share, and it's optional if you want to invite them to do that or not. But we do want you to have the full experience, and we're trying to accommodate as many people as we can so that we can all spread the goodwill.
So I want to share something with you. It was many years ago. Brooke and I were playing the game, and you probably remember Jeff Pupo, mm-hmm, right? So when Jeff entered the game, it turned out that we found out that his youngest son had a lifelong battle with kidney problems and kidney failure.
And your son was like 8 or 9
8
years
or 9,
old.
yeah. I should have qualified that. It was not good. Mm-hmm. The concern was that he might not make it 90 days, and that getting a kidney transplant, it looked like, was like a much longer timeline. So we were playing the game, and when we got to this part of the game, the fans call, we said over the next 90 days, we will find a kidney for Jeff Pupo's son. And to say we went out on a limb would be an understatement. And to say that that was not something that we took lightly would also be an understatement. I think there were even some people who cared about us where we took some heat, like, how can you get their hopes up, and that'll never happen, and you should be more responsible. And God bless them, because that was real for them. But doing nothing was unacceptable for us. And literally within 90 days, Jeff Pupo, who's in the financial services industry in Florida, actually was able, his son was able to get a kidney transplant. It was it must have been like 5 or 6 years ago that I was out speaking, and I happened to meet Jeff, and he took out a picture, and it was a picture of his son, now older. And I got to tell you, I know that it's not easy to put yourself out there for yourself. But the reality is, the way that kidney got found was because other people didn't want to see us fail. So they weren't willing to let us down. So I'd like you to consider, if you ever played a team sport, if you've ever been involved in team fitness, or if you ever had the experience of drafting off of others or feeling that other people were counting on you, I'd ask you to allow yourself during this very difficult time to have that extra push behind you as you go about pursuing your own goals and probably bettering the lives of others at the same time.
I would add that part of Jeffrey Pupo's story was it wasn't just that his son needed a kidney transplant. There were very few surgeons who were willing to do that surgery. If you remember, the fans found a surgeon, not Jeff's fans, fans of other team members on that call who Jeff didn't even know, found a surgeon who was willing to do the surgery. And then he did find a donor and the surgery obviously happened. But it would shock you how much even random strangers might want to see you win if you would be willing to share, with them. And I also want to say that sometimes the greatest benefit of the fans call is actually for your fans.
Right.
There was a grandmother, I'll make it quick, who came to her granddaughter's call, who got so inspired by her granddaughter who was in her 20s. She decided to sell her home and move into the convalescent home that her husband was in because she didn't want to spend the last several years of her life in the home that they had shared their life in without her husband. And that was a result of listening to other people share their games. So we all think that the fans are here for us, and they are, and that we're going to get the benefit out of it, and we will. But especially right now with as much loss as people are experiencing, the fact that you guys are going to share what you want to achieve and that you're still setting goals and that you're still going after them and that you're, excited about them, you don't know what that's going to do for your fans or others. And again, this isn't necessarily for you about them, but I just want you to know that sometimes I got a little shy about inviting fans. I felt like I was asking them to do me a favor and I was putting them out. And then when I realized how much this does for fans, it changed my relationship to extending the invitation. So that's why I share that. So you're also going to have an accountability partner. In our traditional system, we assign accountability partners. Because of how unique this game is, and because some of you are playing as families, some of you are playing as individuals, what we're going to ask you to do is, if you're playing as a family, to team up with another member of your family, choose that individual. And if you're playing as an individual, we want you to invite someone to be your daily accountability partner. That person may end up needing to be one of your fans, so you can invite them so that they can hear about the process. But essentially, you're going to choose your accountability partner. And what that means is that every day the two of you will speak for no less than 5 minutes, no more than 15, Monday through Friday, with one goal, and that is to hold each other accountable. You're going to use that scorecard that has your daily and weekly points, and we're going to give you a script for those accountability calls so that nobody's secretly pretending to be a life coach and practicing on each other, as fun as that may sound. You're going to follow the script, and then after the two of you have held each other accountable, you're going to hang up the phone and get after it. This structure is so powerful that we have the majority of our clients, when they've been assigned to an accountability partner, they remain in friendship and in contact with those individuals for decades later. Some of them still speak every day. They've gone to, sadly, family members' funerals of their partner. They've gotten each other through difficult times. They've attended weddings. They become family because of the unique relationship that the two of you will share over the next 90 days.
I do want to say, and I want to remind Brooke, I haven't thought about this in years, that some of the best games ever written were written in places like the inner cities of Baltimore and the upstate New York, with the kids who were dealing with a lot of difficulty, because the teachers wanted us to tell them what should be in their game. But what we've learned is that doesn't work. The game is very self-determined. So we asked them, hey, look, they're your goals. It's your life. Choose what you want, your point system. What we want to do is hold you accountable to what you want, not what we want. And some people confuse this because they're like, oh, well, I don't want to be someone's partner because I'm going to tell them what to do, or someone's going to be telling me what to do. No one's telling you what to do. You've told yourself what to do. They're there to help you keep your word. The kids, without any involvement from adults, left to their own devices, wrote things like, I'm going to make my bed every day. I'm going to wash the dishes. I'm going to stop beating up on my younger brother. And it was like, literally, if the adults had sat down to write a game, what they would have written was nowhere near as good as what the kids themselves wrote.
Yeah.
You know, people have a conscience. Most people know, whether they're acting or not, what they believe is the good and the right thing to do by themselves and others. It's giving them the chance to distinguish that for themselves, whether it be an emergency or crisis, and then holding them accountable to what they want. That once again allows this to become very real. It again shifts the balance of power from fighting with pepperoni pizza to putting all your energy into achieving your goals. And in this case, working with others to achieve your goals.
So in terms of your preseason checklist, you're going to do the following this week. This Tuesday, you're going to be receiving an email that is going to ask you to register by the end of the day on Tuesday, the 21st. And the link is going to allow you to register as either an individual or an individual plus family. If you register, what that means is you will be speaking in front of your fans, and you will get the full benefit of this program. It also means that you will get to formally move forward and participate for the next 90 days with us. We will also be sharing our games. We will also have our fans there. We are not just coaches, we are also players. We don't ask you to do anything that we wouldn't do. And we're going to be just as pushed by you as we hope to provide that kind of inspiration for you as well. So
I do want to make one comment about that, which is, and I don't mean this out of disrespect to the way other people choose to do things, but the whole, like, we have everything together, there's nothing to improve kind of motivational thing, we don't do that, right? The fundamental principle is we're a team, everybody has something to improve, and we all work together to improve. We don't do the superiority kick. So I would ask you to kind of live inside of that philosophy. It really takes maturity to be okay with, we all have things that we could be better at.
So by this Tuesday, please make sure end of day that you've registered. We need to take all of those registrations and create an order that you guys will share next Sunday. And then we need to send you your time so that you know approximately what time to log in. And that way you can share on a time schedule. We'll give you an amount of time to get your script done in, and we're going to ask you to stick to that. We'll know all of that once we have the numbers in. So again, by Tuesday, end of day, you need to have registered. Look for that email by no later than Tuesday. We're hopeful that it will go out tomorrow, but by Tuesday, you will definitely receive that registration link. On Thursday, we need you to look for another email, which will include your game launch time slot so that you know exactly what time to launch next Sunday evening. By Wednesday, you will complete your fans call script. So the script that I read from this evening, you'll have that completed by Wednesday. Throughout Monday, tomorrow, through next Sunday, you're going to invite your fans to join you. Again, don't get caught up in I need to wait until Thursday when I have my exact time. Give them a window. It will be from 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 8 to 9 Eastern. That is the general window. Depending on how many people RSVP, we're going to need to extend that, but that's not your concern. You can all count on, you will likely be within that window, but it will definitely be next Sunday evening. So you want to invite your fans immediately. And then on Sunday, be sure to show up a little bit earlier than your designated time. If you're scheduled at 6:10 Pacific Standard Time, definitely be here earlier, like 5 to 10 minutes before that time, because we will be precise. And so you're going to want to be here earlier. Plus, you're going to want to be inspired by the other people that are sharing. And it really is a wonderful call. Most calls, people stay for an hour. So I wouldn't also want you to relate to, like, this is my time, I'm only going to come and talk. Definitely make it a point to stay and hear all of the wonderful people. They're just amazing people who are participating in this game. with their families, and you will get inspiration from that. So I would say carve out the same amount of time. You guys are already carving out the hour every Sunday night. Be here and listen to the good people that are going to be launching their games. So that's next Sunday. You're going to show up at least at your designated time. Ideally, you want to be there 10 minutes earlier than your actual go time. Again, reach out to your fans all week. Friday, reach out to your accountability partner. If you live with them, you can certainly do it before Friday. But basically what you want to do is talk to them, establish a daily time that the two of you will either meet if you're under the same roof, or speak if they're going to be outside of your house for 5 to 15 minutes. Make sure that's coordinated, and exchange your scorecard with them, because that's what you're going to use for that daily call or daily meeting to keep each other accountable. You'll see there's an asterisk at the bottom. We're going to ask, although we'd love to hear from every family member, that if you're playing the family game and you're going to share, that you designate a family spokesperson to share your game, so that we can hear from your family, but that we're also being respectful to all the families that are playing. So we're going to ask for one family spokesperson, and that will be in the registration link as well. I do want to make a note that when you share on the fans call, if there is personal information that's too personal, you don't need to share it. Or you don't need to share it, but don't take it out of your game. Or there are ways that people have shared, like by percentage instead of by dollars or pounds. There's a way that you can still get the support and the accountability without feeling like that just crossed a line for you. So you're the judge. If you can be creative in a way that honors your own privacy while also getting the benefit of the accountability, that's the ideal scenario. And if you would just like to keep it to yourself, we completely honor that, still play for it. And we definitely understand that there are times when that is the right call, and only you can make that call.
And I know we only have about 3 more minutes to wrap up. We do want to give a shout out and share. So there's a very brave young woman out there who is fighting a very important battle. We want to give a shout out to Lindsay. And actually, if we go forward, we can hear. I'm sorry, I thought we'd be able to hear it. Let me hear.
So Lindsay posted this, and I think she's on fire. So we added the Alicia Keys song. Her actual song is not this. It's so beautiful. It's like that's her song. Oh my gosh, Lindsay. So
just watch a minute or just like 30 seconds of this. She did a really great job. So these are all the elements of the game, right? This is the song. You see the dedication, right?
She created it as her story on Instagram. So we want to highlight her because she did an amazing job. She's very dear to us. And Lindsay, if you're out there, we just want to give you a shout out. Another amazing family is Lyle and his wife Roxy, who've also used social media to post all of their game and to really put themselves out there. It's amazing. Oh my gosh, Roxy, you have so many outcomes. That's incredible. So we just want to let you all know that for those of you that are using social media and feel comfortable using social media, that we are very grateful. We hope that it inspires as many people as possible. And here you'll see ways to actually tag us and the Kelley Group in the 90-day game on either Facebook or on Instagram. And definitely this is a way to include your fans as well by keeping them posted. You can post your workout in the future. You can post your family dinner or your family ritual that was one of your points. Like, let's not just have this be about us, as in all of us game players. Let's have this be about how we uplift everybody with exactly what it is that you guys are doing.
I do want to say that one of the things that we've discovered, because with us, we just really do our jobs. I mean, we appreciate when we get acknowledged, which, you know, we get acknowledged, but we don't do it for acknowledgement. We do it to do the work. We actually love the work itself. But sometimes we're so busy doing what we do that we don't realize the lives that we touch. And it is amazing to look on social media and go like, wow, and to see what you're doing. I know I can't be the only one having that experience, right? And while there's a lot of good stuff out there, it's not necessarily that another person can easily take up and walk that same path because there's a clear system or a clear process. I think you'd agree this is very intuitive. It's modeled after the game, it's modeled after sports, it's modeled after the military. There's nothing like, there's no rocket science in it, but the accountability factor and the doing of it is what makes the difference.
So once again, we want to thank you all for being here and thank you for your great work so far. Our work is in front of us, and next week we will have the privilege of launching our games with all of you and with your families, and that is such a momentous day. We very much look forward to that. This week, again, be sure to register by Tuesday. The homework assignments and these slides will go out to all of you, so you don't need to worry.
Right.
I'm going to see if we can open this up for questions so that if you have them, they can be answered. I can't promise that I've perfected Zoom. I know that's disappointing, I'm sure, for all of you, but let me see what we can do. And if you have questions, be ready with them. So I'm going to stop that. I'm going to do this. And then
so if we don't figure this out relatively quickly, because we know that we're over by a little bit, what we'll do is we'll certainly look forward to answering questions on future calls. By the way, I wanted to say that if you saw us looking this way, it's because we had the computer screen here, and then we actually also had a big screen up in front of us. So forgive us if that was in any way distracting.
so many of you are actually being unmuted. If you have a question and you see that you have been unmuted, if you would go ahead and begin asking questions so that we can answer them. Oh, good. We can hear you guys.
Hi, are you there?
Yes.
So wonderfully am appreciating your session. And Sarano, you would not remember me at all. I probably took a coaching program from you, boy, 20 years ago or something, but you've made wonderful strides, and I love the work that you're doing.
Thank
and
you.
I'm going to try to get very involved in this. I have not. I'm kind of starting late.
Okay.
But I'm a little bit leery about asking, I guess, friends and other people to come in and support me, because I don't know if they kind of understand where I'm at. It's really revealing if I say to them, oh, I'm having these problems, I want to do this, this, and this. They may not know that already.
So let me share this. So this is not an answer, right? It's a perspective. And I want to acknowledge that you can play the game and not share it. It can be between you and your creator, right? As long as the commitment is real for you, that's what's critical. But the system is modeled after what works. And I'll use some examples that maybe are not politically correct. But for example, let's take, for example, AA, right? As an example, part of the reason why AA works, and I don't have personal experience with it, but I've known enough people who have, that part of what makes it work is that one is part of a community embracing sobriety. And I'm sure it's got to be embarrassing as heck to get up and say, my name is whoever and I'm an alcoholic. But until a person has that realization, it can be difficult for them to confront the problem. Now, I'm probably not going to get on my fast call and say, my name is Sarano Kelley, and I have sciatica and whatever. I mean, this may be too much information for some people. But I want you to get the principle, and the whole idea behind it is making your commitments real for you, because you will have up days, you will have down days, you will face opposition. And that's when it will be important that you have these other factors working in your favor. So again, not an answer, right? Not like a, thou shalt do this, but definitely a perspective.
Great, thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do remember you.
I don't know if that's good or bad.
Right, there we go. All
Anyone
right.
else? Everybody has been unmuted.
Ron?
Yeah, if I want to invite colleagues and my family to actually participate in the game, not just be fans, is it too late to do that? Can they get caught up on?
Yeah. So here's what we did differently. So we've never done this before, admittedly, and we've been doing this for 30 years, but we've never opened it up to the public in this way. So every time we do one of these calls, a slightly edited version of this, just to clean it up, is posted on YouTube. If you look us up on YouTube, the Kelley Group, Brooke Kelley, Sarano Kelley, you'll find Preseason 1, Preseason 2, and Preseason 3.
They're going to let me ask a question.
Hey, Ron,
Hey,
hold on
Ron,
1 second.
Ron, give us 1 sec. Good to hear your
Okay.
voice. So what happens is they can easily catch up. It's intuitive. And by your setting the example and saying, here's what my game is going to be, people can figure it out really fast. They just typically need to see someone else go first, and they're like, oh, I get it, right? And then they can just easily adopt it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not too late. It's not too late for people to join and to play.
Okay, thank you.
And
And
you
then
know
one
I'm sorry.
clarification.
Yep.
Are you guys going to assign us our accountability partner, or are we supposed to say this is the person we want?
Well, as much as we would love to be able to assign your accountability partner, because we know that you're much more accountable to strangers than you are friends. Unfortunately, practically speaking, we can't do that in this program. I would advise people that if there are other families that you care about who could benefit from some of your good energy, I think having them as daily partners, be they family, extended family, whatever, can be a way to have a decidedly productive relationship where you feel like you're forwarding their well-being and their success, right? So obviously you have to leave that up to you, but outside of that, you could choose someone in your environment at home to be your daily partner. You just have to remember, you're not to tell them what you think they should do, because that's not the game. You're only there to help them do what they want to do. So you can't confuse that for the normal way that we relate to people. We can't say to Grace, without, something like, if she puts in her game, make my bed, then it's legitimate to support her in making her bed. But if she's not committed to that, that's just not part of the game.
So in summary, your friends can catch up, and we won't be assigning accountability partners, but we will be providing a video that will help you if you do invite others that are behind, teach them how to catch up, and also how to conduct those calls and how to create their scorecard, so that we can honor the good advice that Sarano just gave regarding not telling people what to do, but teaching them to design their game.
Brooke and Sarano, can you hear me?
Yes, indeed, Mr. Knight.
Okay. Hey, Brooke, do you remember Ron and Allie in Austin?
Are you kidding me? We just.
It's really funny. It couldn't have been more than a week and a half ago.
Yeah.
Maybe we were on a walk and she was like, I wonder how Ron and Allie are doing.
Yeah.
So we've been thinking about you guys.
Well, thank you. Same with you. We had, you're responsible. It's been over 14 months or so ago now for the greatest success I've had in terms of adding, I don't know what it was, 60 or 70 million in fee-based assets. So
nice.
we're going to try and ramp this up again and go again.
Good.
We loved our time with you in Las Vegas. Allie's just now bringing my dinner in here, so she's on board also.
Yeah.
But this means a lot. My random question was, Brooke, when you affirm Sarano about being the beast, does that stand for something, or what does that mean?
No, it's really about he works so hard for us, and he provides so much, and it's easy to get used to having a really good man who does that much, and it never gets old for him to be acknowledged. So it has to do with acknowledging him for the things that he does so well that protect us and provide for us and keep us safe, and make sure that he feels like he's winning, and that he knows that we see him and that we are his biggest fans. And really it's about making sure that the things that we could easily take for granted because we're so fortunate and we can get so used to it, that he knows that we couldn't appreciate him anymore. And it makes it also something that I'm grateful for and that I'm present to every day. because sometimes he does other things that I'm also present to. And it's a good reminder for me about what I want to put my attention on.
Well, beautiful. And another aside is
uh,
we always, when we refer to you also, Brooke, your relationship with Allie, I think is one of the best. She's commented some of the best marriage counseling and references we've ever had as a couple. So thank you. Thank you for that.
We love you guys. We really were just talking about you. I'm so glad that you guys are here.
I love it. Thank you.
You know, I will say, separate from everything that's going on, I can't tell you as we scroll through and see some of the names who are here. I know that many of us have a business relationship. We've been focused on achieving objectives and serving others, all of which is great. But it's nice to be able to put in a little energy into each other during this time. And I know you're taking time out of your Sunday night, so clearly this is not just about business. So thank you all very much for being here. It's good energy for us.
Yeah.
Just like it's good energy for you. You know?
Are there any other questions out there?
Hey, Sarano and Brooke, this is Andrea Thomas. How are you?
Hey, how you doing?
Good. How are you guys?
We're doing good. We're doing good. Good to see you.
Yeah.
I'm really excited about the game. I have several friends and my daughter who's going to be playing with me. So this is awesome.
Hey, how old is your daughter?
She is 13.
Oh, time has flown.
Gracie
Time
has
flies.
an accountability partner.
There we go.
Yeah,
We
and
should
right?
tell her. Yeah.
It's awesome. So I have a question for you. My game is all ready to go. And I'm not really that, technologically savvy. Is there a way to share my game with this group without sharing it with my whole Facebook audience? I wasn't sure how to do that. I saw the instructions that you sent, and I sent over a little test today, but I wasn't sure how to do that without, kind of exposing it to the world, which I'm not ready to do yet.
Yeah, I think that we're right there with you with about how technologically savvy we are. But I think that we can actually create a group within Facebook.
Hey, Ron, my bad. We might
There's like 320 people.
So Andrea, we can create a group within Facebook just for the participants and the people who register. And that way it's private for you.
Wait, my name, yeah, it was muted. It came up.
Okay, great. I heard you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Came up Ron Knight somehow.
Someone said, I think,
Is
before you
interesting.
go, hold on. Okay,
Yeah.
Andrea, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you, and I heard what you said, and I really appreciate that. So whenever you're ready to provide those instructions.
Can I ask you a question? Do you mind, don't let me put you on the spot. I've already put her on the spot.
Yeah.
Now everybody's wondering, what do you mean don't put her on the spot? But besides making the game possible for a lot of people at your firm and the work that we do to their benefit, you also played the game in your family, and you provided one of the better examples of how one could take the typical family issues and turn into a game. I don't know if there's any part of that you would feel comfortable sharing, particularly with your daughter here.
Oh, yeah.
I would leave that up to you,
Yeah, and this was, several years ago, but I was experiencing some challenges as a very busy working mother, getting my children up and dressed and bathed and fed and, off to school and getting myself off to work without having challenges in the morning with them, getting them going. And Sarano, you had suggested to me making a game out of it. And I applied that. I made a game out of it, and it was amazing to me. The first morning after we implemented, we kind of sat down as a family, we implemented the game. And before I could even get out of bed in the morning, and I get up very early, before I could even get out of bed, I just heard the pitter patter of little just running to get dressed and get their breakfast and get all the things done that I, typically had to spend the morning screaming at them to get it done. Just implementing this into a game.
Right.
It's so fun. And even to this day, now that they're a lot older, they those times very fondly, and they've asked me several times if we could do that game again.
There you
So
go.
now
That's
that we
great.
have this 90-day game implemented, I'm looking forward to doing it with them. So it'll be really nice.
Hey, since we're on the house arrest, we have nothing better to do.
Exactly.
That's great. Well, let's see if there are other questions. Any other questions?
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Thank you for your kind words first. So I'm hoping Matt's going to play the game with me. But as far as an accountability partner, since obviously you're not assigning one, if it ends up just being me, is it okay to have an accountability partner that's not playing the game?
Absolutely.
Okay.
They just would need to have, some goals that they're working on, in life. And you guys will honor the structure of a call every day and forward each other and hold each other accountable. But you absolutely can do that.
And Lindsay, the daily partner call, literally, when you see the script, is as simple as when people have a scorecard. I would say, well, Lindsay, to have our call today, how many points did you get yesterday, right? And that's different than saying, how are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
Which is a very ambiguous kind of question, right? And the person's like, well, I got 8 out of 10 points. You're like, awesome, really want to acknowledge you for the 8. That's amazing. It is important to acknowledge people, as she keeps trying to explain to me. And then I'm referring to acknowledging my wife, who's great. And then what happens is you want to say to them, which 2 did you miss? And then you want to ask them, what do you see that you could do to make that happen? So I just want people, once again, to understand the flavor of the game. It's not about telling the person what they could have done. It's about causing them to think and hence be at cause over their own challenges.
Mm-hmm.
If they're stuck and they ask for advice, that's awesome. But, we're not looking for you to give advice. We're asking for you to provide accountability, accountability to think, to problem solve.
Thanks, guys.
You're welcome.
Yeah. All right. Any other questions?
I had a real quick question, if I could.
Yeah.
The assessment page and the accountability page, where do we get those at? The blank pages to fill out.
You're going to be getting those in an email this week. I believe that we've organized a series of emails. We just don't send them out. And I believe it goes out tomorrow, where you'll have all of the documents for all 3 of these calls attached, so you can get caught up and then definitely have what you're referring to as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I do want to say, it just occurred to me on the heels of your question, because again, usually this is not publicly available. It can be, look, I think you need to play your own game. That's the way that we relate to it. But let's say there are people, and I have some friends who are struggling right now, I'm thinking about one in particular. And I don't know that if I went to him and say, you should play the game, that it would necessarily be the right message. But I do think if I had him on my fans call, if he knew what I was struggling with, that it might provide the space for him to know that it's really okay to receive help.
Mm-hmm.
I find that sometimes you tell people you should play the game, it's almost like saying there's something wrong with them, which is not what you're saying. We can all improve, but your example can be powerful for people. So, invite fans who are going to support you. That's all you need to do. But if it's someone who you think could be a good daily partner, could be a good contributor, then there's nothing wrong with stacking the deck in that way on your own behalf.
Yeah.
I wouldn't use it to try and take people who are negative and turn them positive, only because that could drag your game down.
But the assessments will be available by email this week for you, and ideally tomorrow.
I think we have time for one other question. So let me just see, any final question?
Oh, Deborah.
All right, Deborah.
Maybe
Maybe
back again. I already have spoken, but
It's
as I
okay.
listen to everybody else, I have actually invited quite a few people that I know to play this game and to listen to your emails, and I have not gotten a response from anyone. And so
No.
at this particular point, I don't have my accountability partner, and I guess I would just like to put it out there that if there's anyone else in the game that doesn't have someone who would like to join up with me to be an accountable partner, I would be open to that.
Good. And
I
Deb,
will,
Somebody responded.
I will, Deb, if you wish. I don't have a partner either.
That would be wonderful.
do you,
And how would the two of you? All right.
Terrific. I look forward to hearing from you.
on that note, I would say that also the same thing that Andrea had asked about as far as a group.
Yeah.
Mark, help us. We can make a private group on Facebook for you all to share your wins with each other. And
Got it.
if you also are partnerless, then you can see if there's anyone else in the group that might be able to or want to join up with you. So we can make that available. We'll try to do what we can to make that available as soon as possible.
As a private Facebook.
As a
group,
private
just
Facebook
amongst-
group for
just
these
amongst-
guys, for whomever is participating, and that would be based on because you've registered. That's how we know. And then you will have the opportunity to reach out to others here who may also need a partner.
All right. Well, I don't know about everybody else, but I'm appropriately nervous. And I always know that that means that this is real for me, right? If it was something that was just like a walk in the park, I don't know that I would feel any anxiety or any nervousness. So just know that that's okay. So we want to thank you, particularly if you spent extended time with us here this evening. We want to thank you for that. And we very much look forward to day one of the 90-day game. Get ready to launch. Any final word of encouragement?
I just want to say good luck to all of you. Enjoy this week. Also take the opportunity this week to organize your home, your environment, your mind,
your diet, your meal prep,
your cell
all that stuff.
phone, everything. If you need to, we downloaded Beachbody today, the P90X. We're getting ready, putting all those structures in place so that on Sunday we feel like we're ready to rock, as opposed to we just got thrown in the deep end. So do yourself a favor of preparation. Know that we will be cheering for you, and there are many great people that you're going to meet on this journey together, and we're honored to take this with you. Thank you all for joining us for preseason call number 3.
Have a good night, all.
Have a great night.
God bless.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.